Hello, everybody. I wanted to take a moment to speak with you about all that's going on and all of the uncertainty that's been injected into our city and into our nation as a whole, with the coronavirus causing a lot of fear and anxiety and uncertainty about the future. I wanted to speak with you about what's happening economically and how that's impacting the housing market. There's a lot of information circulating in various areas, and I know that many of us are being inundated with information, some of which is spot on, and others, unfortunately, we're hearing some misinformation. But I wanted to take some time, and I want to promise you that I'm going to deliver information to you in small bits so that it won't be overwhelming. And today, I want to start just by talking about the word recession versus a housing crisis. Clearly, we are experiencing an economic slowdown, and this is definitely a concern for people. A recession is simply an economic slowdown for two consecutive quarters, and we have definitely entered a recession, and we're seeing this all around us. But it's very important that people do not mistake the fact that recession does not mean housing crisis. Unfortunately, when 2008 we had the housing crisis, that was the start of the most recent recession. So many people think that the two terms are synonymous, and they're not. So I want to take some time today to share with you 5 reasons why our economic climate today is very different than it was leading up to the housing crisis in 2008. And if you stay tuned, I will have a video attached that also shows some very good visuals to drive these points home. But first and foremost, today it's much harder to qualify for a mortgage than it was in the years leading up to the 2008 crisis. So lenders have really swung the pendulum. They're tighter with their lending practices and really qualifying their borrowers. Also, the price appreciation of homes over the past 6 years has been rather stable compared to the rates of appreciation of home prices leading up to the housing crisis. And that played a big factor in why we experienced a housing crash back in 2008. We have rather low inventory, especially in lower price points. Nationally, we can say that we have a housing shortage, and we have for a long time now. In 2008, there was actually an oversupply of housing available, and it's a very different climate in terms of inventory. And affordability is also very different. Today, people dedicate on average 14.8% of their income towards housing, whereas earlier people were spending about 25% of their income on their housing. So the amount of equity that people have in their housing and the breathing room they have is very different today than it was before the crisis. And last but not least, before 2008, many people were using up large amounts of their home equity. Many will say that it was almost like they were using their home equity as an ATM machine. On top of that, many people were using the equity in their home to buy depreciating properties or depreciating assets. Today, people have really learned from that. And although so many people have a tremendous amount of equity in their home, a large number of mortgage holders have over 50% equity in their home. People are much more selective on how much of that equity they use and what they're spending it on. So for many reasons, we are not in the same position that we were in 2008, and this is going to be a very different type of recession. It is not equal to a housing crisis, and I will be sharing additional information about the economic climate and how that relates to the housing market. But please stay on and look at the visuals that follow, because I think it will drive these points home and bring clarity around these issues. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Give me a call. I'll be happy to speak with you in greater detail. Okay, thank you.